Hi there. Welcome back to Simon Says. I'm Simon, and today we're going to be chatting to a colleague of mine, Dirk, down in Wellington, and having a look at the Home Assistant instance that he installed about 2 years ago. And he's doing it to have some really fun times with his family. Let's have a look.
Yeah, hi, Simon. Thanks for having me. As you know, obviously, I'm working with you, the same company.
Yeah,
I've been using Home Assistant for roughly about 2 years now, and it was quite a nice surprise when we both, I think it was both for both of us, when we found out that we had the Home Assistant in common.
yes,
And yeah, ever since sort of starting going down that rabbit hole, it's getting deeper and deeper.
that's right.
I sort of started out really with, as probably most people do, a bunch of um, uh, light strips, LEDs for the kids' bedrooms. Got pretty frustrated pretty quickly with having 2 or 3 different makes and models and 2 or 3 different applications on the phone, and nothing works together. So every LED light strip is controlled by an independent application. I had a dabble around with the Apple ecosystem, don't quite
HomeKit.
HomeKit. Yeah, that was sort of a little bit frustrating. I've been looking around a lot. I had a go with Open Home.
Yes.
Um, And when I came across Home Assistant and saw all the integrations that were there already, and the ecosystem and the whole community in the background, it was pretty easy to say Home Assistant is probably going to be the way forward, especially since it's easy enough to get into. I've had a couple of Raspberry Pis. The first instance of Home Assistant I ran on my QNAP NES, which was an older model, so support stopped at some stage. I couldn't update to the latest version, and then I pretty much went with a Raspberry Pi. Couple of trial and errors. Obviously, you set it up, you start from scratch, start all over again because things work strange. It's for me, it's pretty much a ever evolving ecosystem or setup as well. There's hardly a week where I don't change stuff around, and then the family complains that something new suddenly works, but the doorbell's not ringing anymore.
Yeah.
As we all know, it's just, yeah, what happens really.
Oh, yes.
So yeah,
Awesome.
coming from just a couple of lights, I pretty much, well, just had a look what's possible, what do I have already, what can I integrate, and then I was looking for, well, pretty much problems that needed a solution. Sometimes I had the solution without even knowing that there was a problem.
Yeah.
And yeah, couple of dollars later, you know, you know how it is. I mean,
Oh,
at
yeah,
the
it
moment,
certainly adds up.
so I'm mainly using it at the moment for climate, not so much control, although
Mhm.
I have our old air conditioning, or rather heat pump, um, set up as a AC. It's an old one, so I had to actually or I'm controlling it via a Broadlink RM4 Mini,
Oh, wow.
which is connected wirelessly to my network, and then pretty much just uses infrared to emulate the remote control. Really,
Oh, yeah. And does that work
the
pretty well?
problem there is, of course, it's not talking back, so it's set every time you set something. All the whole setting of the heat pump gets sent again, and there's no confirmation or anything. So the problem is, of course, if I automatically, so at the moment, the way it is in the morning at 6 o'clock, if the temperature in the living room is below 18.5
Mhm.
degrees, the heat pump gets turned on, full blast heating, 24 degrees. By the time we get up and out into the living room, it's usually nice and cozy, 20 degrees already, which is good.
Oh, nice.
And then from there, if the temperature reaches 22 degrees, the heat pump automatically goes down to quiet mode, and temperatures taken back to 21 degrees. So we're not heating overly. And at 7 o'clock, the whole thing pretty much turns itself off again. The problem, obviously, is that if you in between you use the remote from the heat pump to make any changes, Home Assistant obviously isn't aware that those changes have been made. But that's half bad, really.
Nice, cheap and easy integration, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, yes. It started out the whole thing with I have a whole bunch of Akara temperature and moisture or humidity sensors.
Yeah.
Everywhere in the house, in every room. I've got one in the attic. I've got sort of one outside on the deck and one on the other side of the house, just to see, because the deck is pretty much all day sun, and likewise the other side of the house is pretty much no sun whatsoever. And it's quite interesting to actually see as well. Our house is painted in a pretty dark color.
Yeah.
As well, and it's really interesting to see how long it keeps the warmth as well. So once the exterior walls are really heated up, how long actually when the front of the house is down to whatever 14 degrees, how long the paint actually holds the wall, holds the heat.
So they're running on Zigbee, are they, Dirk?
They are running on Zigbee, yeah. So I bought the Decons 2. So at the moment, by now, I'm running Home Assistant in a virtual machine on a little Lenovo micro PC. I work in IT, so I've just had that flying around, and I've got a couple of database servers running on there as well, and with the Raspberry Pi. And the problem with the SD cards getting corrupted, I just went with what I had, really.
So did you find it was a lot faster when you switched it over?
It certainly was, yeah. Especially reboots. The more I noticed, the more integrations you have, it takes forever to reboot. And with the virtual machine, it works quite well. And then it's running on ESXi. So mapping the USB key through to the VM is not a problem at all.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
I remember you telling me recently about your front doorbell camera.
Oh, yeah. So my whole network infrastructure at home is based on UniFi, Ubiquiti UniFi. So
Yeah.
I've got a UDM Pro as my gateway slash wireless controller slash camera controller. I've got 3 exterior cameras. So they are the UDM G3, the G3 1080p camera. So they're nothing flash, but they just do exactly what they need to do. And I have the G4 doorbell as well, which is really nice. Nice piece of kit. Integrates beautifully. I mean, UniFi integrates beautifully with Home Assistant.
Yeah.
I have, well, like many people probably would have, on my dashboards, I have pretty much camera front of the house, the entrance. Here, this is actually the doorbell camera. Plus, you see our product in action.
And I remember you showed us one of the videos of your neighbor's car recently.
Yeah. There was that camera here. I've got another camera here that's out on the deck, taking in part of the backyard. The doorbell I have integrated with my Sonos speakers. So if the doorbell gets rung, Sonos speaker in the living room will sort of announce that the doorbell has been rung. I sort of last year started to have a little bit of fun, whereas during Christmas, so from 1st of December to 31st of December, every time the doorbell gets rung, we'll have a random Christmas jingle play.
That's pretty cool.
For Halloween, we've got some creepy sounds in there as well, and that's pretty much all controlled by automations, and they're based on dates.
Oh, nice. And
I'm
I
pretty much
see.
doing all my automations in YAML.
Oh, you've been writing them all in YAML, have you?
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable around the YAML, and I gave the Node-RED a go, but until I find something that I can't do in YAML, I'm pretty much happy enough. And with all the advances that have been done in YAML with the if then and all the loops, and it's just getting better and better really with every release.
Oh, yeah. And what about, I see you using ESP Home as well there. Have you done much with that?
I have bought a whole bunch of ESP Home boards and sensors, and I bought the multis of 73 or 37 sensor pack from what is it, AliExpress,
Yep.
and a whole bunch of ESP boards. I have yet to find a reuse for it where I say, yeah, okay. The problem, of course, I mean, I think I would use them a lot more if I'd had a 3D printer that I could actually print nice cases for them.
Yes.
That's sort of a little bit of got to convince the wife still a little bit more to buy one. But we'll get there. What I have bought recently and what arrived last week on Friday is the NS panel, as you can see.
Yes.
I had a quick look, installed it, set it up with the Wii remote. What's the application that you need?
eWeLink.
Yeah, exactly. And eWeLink, and I played around with it for about 10 minutes, and I thought, nah, this is not what I want. So I flashed it pretty much straight away. Followed the video from Mark Watt on YouTube. And then you pointed out the cafe. Well, what was the other one?
Yes, coffee something. I can't remember what it's called. Did you
Coffee,
have a look at his videos?
Yeah, I had a look at these, and since I mean, I'm pretty happy what I've done with the Mark Watt. For now, I have pretty much easy control over the Sonos in the living room, so I don't necessarily have to get my phone out again to play. So I've got shortcuts to a number of playlists. I have set up one of the physical buttons to raise a automation in Home Assistant for the heat pump, so I can turn the heat pump on or off via the physical button. Again, via the what is it called? Geez, I forgot.
It's okay.
Last.
So you're running music on that. You've got you've got an alarm panel, lights. What else have you got on there?
Yeah, I made so the kids have both Google Nest Minis in their rooms. Mainly different users, really. My son's using it to get some entertainment out of it. My daughter, she's using it mainly to listen to podcasts. But what I have done with the second physical button on the NS panel, I've pretty much configured a automation to get the kids as well. Get the Google Nest Minis to tell the kids that either dinner or lunch or whatever, breakfast ready.
Great
so we don't
idea.
have to show up the house anymore. It's just a button press away, and if they show up, they show up. If they don't, they don't.
That's awesome. And tell me about going back to your doorbell. I believe you're telling me that it's got actually recognizes people. Is that right?
I mean, So Ubiquiti has some smarts built into their software already where they can distinguish between people, a person, and, for example, a car. So that seems to be working quite well through to Home Assistant as well. Before I had that doorbell, I had because the cameras that I have, they are too old. They don't support the artificial intelligence, so they can't distinguish between car or person. They just see movement and then they start either recording or whatever you set them to, really. So when I first set up those cameras, I had to play around with it, the dude's face recognition. So the dedicated open object detection service, which was quite an interesting exercise, because the way I did it, I pretty much every time I restarted Home Assistant, I had to teach the application faces again, and I was pretty with the free version that I was pretty limited. I think I was limited to about I can provide like 100 pictures or something, and every time the application or Home Assistant would restart, the application would go through those pictures again. So you pretty much load those pictures in, you tell the application who's in that picture. So I had 10 pictures of me, 10 pictures of my son, 10 pictures of my daughter, 10 pictures of my wife. And every time you restart the application or Home Assistant, pretty much the application then looks at those images again and then tries to, if it sees a face on the camera, tries to identify based on what you taught.
And was that quite effective?
That was certainly a really fun exercise. I learned a lot. But in the end, it was just quite work intensive as well. So it actually took quite a long time restarts to enumerate those images again. And in the end, I mean, I would have needed a different solution or fork out money to actually be able to have unlimited images that I could preload. Because obviously, and I don't really want to be creepy. I mean, I could, of course, then if people walk up to my door, my good friends or whatever, greet them by name automatically. I don't know if a lot of them would appreciate it, or if they would just stop coming around.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a creep factor to it, certainly.
Yeah. And the music assistant, I see you've got that loaded. Have you used that yet?
Music assistant, yeah, I'm using that. As I said, well, do I? Yeah, I mean, I've linked it. I've got a bunch of audiobooks locally on my NAS here, and otherwise it's set up with Spotify. And then we've got just here the speakers. So we've got 2 Sonos speakers, and obviously one of them's fallen off, which is I guess that comes with a Home Assistant territory these days. Really, you restart, or I just installed the 22.8 this morning, so I have yet to figure out what has stopped working.
And what is this you've got up the top here? The one.
The one ever since I've started with Home Assistant. Ideally, I would, rather than the NS panel, I would have a screen, and that would be a tablet of some sorts that I could wall mount and pretty much control the Home Assistant. So easy control in the living room or one in the bedroom, God knows. And I have gone through so many iterations of dashboard and everything else, and I just can't make one that I like for more than 2 or 3 weeks. So the one is the one that eventually will be on a tablet somewhere, but I mean, otherwise I'm pretty messy. I've got Climber, you've got Home, you've got Test, and there's almost in every one a sort of dev development, has keep test. So there is just, I'm all over the show. When I integrate something new or I write something new, I pretty much start out on a dashboard, and then I create a new dashboard, and throw all the entities into that dashboard that are related to what I'm doing. So if I do, for example, the entrance lights, so in my outside front of the house, approach the house, I've got a camera looking down the footpath, which picks up the motion, which does motion detection. Motion detection then through an automation turns on just a standard outdoor light via a Shelly one. So I've got a whole bunch of Shellys. I've got an old house, old wiring. So I have most of my light switches are wired in line, so it means one cable coming down the wall, going into the switch, coming out the other side of the switch, and going back up. So I can't really wire a Shelly into those, because I can't power the Shelly without the light being powered at the same time.
Yeah, that's a pain,
But
eh?
we've done a couple of renovations, and where we have replaced cabling, I've put a Shelly in place as well. They just work flawlessly for me. I have not one problem with them. But coming back to the front of my house, so pretty much the camera does motion detection, turns on the outside light based on motion detection via the Shelly. Then I have a Philips Hue exterior light strip in the ceiling in the entrance, which you can see here. So if we turn this on, you would potentially see it's a little bit so light here. So that when the motion is detected in the front of the house, this one turns itself on at, I think, 20% brightness at a random color.
Oh, cool.
Because, I mean, it could just be a cat, and I don't want to have full blast light. But if it's not a cat, if somebody's actually walking up, I want them, because we've got on the other side of the house, there's the old entrance. A lot of people don't know which entrance to go to. So when it's dark, I'll at least light the right entrance.
Yeah.
And then when people actually walk up the stairs towards the door, then the camera in the doorbell will detect motion, and if that detects motion, then it'll turn on the light of full brightness. Plus, then if the camera is if the doorbell then is pressed, it'll turn on the light in the entrance as well, and it'll flash the light in the light strip here as well. So you got some nice visual feedback that you push the button.
Nice.
For me, it's all fun and game, really. And it is quite interesting to see. I started out because, honestly, for me, it's IT. I'm interested in it, and I didn't really have a good use or reason to do it. I just wanted to do something when I started out, and now we're at the point really where I've got a whole bunch of the Akara light sensors as well. So in the entrance, for example, I have when it's a nice day outside, it's bright enough in there. You don't need the light. But if it's rainy and you walk in there, then you have the light turn on. So I have a motion sensor in there, and I have the light sensor in there. And if it's below, if the brightness is below a certain threshold, the light comes on based on the motion sensor. And that is one of the things where the family starts to say now, oh, can we have this in the bathroom as well, please?
There's always something more they want.
It is quite interesting. It's the one room where you walk in, and when's the light going to go on? No, it doesn't go on automatically.
They start to get used to it after a while, eh?
Yeah. So I'm pretty keen to get the light automated in the bathroom as well, and the extractor fan.
Yeah.
I just haven't come up with the right way to say, okay, there's somebody sitting on the toilet for half an hour, so we should leave the light on, or there's somebody having a shower, or a bath sitting in the bath. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily want any moisture sensors in the bathtub. I just don't think that's
No.
necessarily really that nice. I don't know if I should hide it somewhere in the gully or
Yeah.
in the. But then again, if you're running a bath, that's not going to get wet until you pull the plug, really.
Yeah, exactly. So you haven't got
So I
like a
have to
bath level sensor or anything like that.
yeah. And then, of course, you don't want to freak strangers out that there's what could potentially be a camera in the bathroom. That sort of, I wouldn't feel great.
No, exactly. And are you running like a database with graphs and things?
No, not really. I mean, the only graphs really that I do are temperatures. I mean, I am probably still running Grafana somewhere in the background.
Hmm.
As I mean, let's have a quick look what add-ons I have. So I've got Grafana there. Oh, see, I've got even Dude still there. So I'm running the Influx DB, but I have not set up any graphs really. The Influx DB I have set up just for long-term data logging purposes, really.
Oh, yeah.
Just more than anything else that I can go back and say, okay, what has changed over the last year, for example, when it comes to temperature. So, yeah. So really the only graphs that I have here are those ones, temperature and humidity for living room, the two kids' rooms, and deck outside.
Oh,
And
that's
those
nice.
graphs are based on, what are they? Custom mini graph card. So
It's really cool because you've got different colors and things you can choose there.
yeah, and I thought really, I mean, it's nice if you have graphs, but just the color is just one of the things where you can quickly look, okay, red, this is crap, what's wrong? Yeah, okay, it's high humidity.
Mm.
It's not a lot that I can do about. But if I yeah, just have a quick look and say, oh, why was it, I don't know, 18 degrees all day in Luca's bedroom? What's going on here? And everywhere else not. So
Then he
it's
left the
just a
heater
nice,
on.
just a nice visual indicator to say, okay, well, what's going on. Um, I've set up a whole bunch of automations. That's all pretty much just select the speaker,
Mm.
select the volume, and then we've got a whole bunch of playlists. See, there a whole bunch disappeared as well. So all the Spotify playlists, and then you pretty much just say stream, and it'll spit out the playlist on the speaker that you are on. All my, no, a couple of groups missing, but yeah. Um, I've got TTS, so text to speech.
Yeah.
Just was one of those fun projects. Really, I thought let's just see what we can do. So I've got 3 different voices. I'm using Polly from Amazon. I've
Mm.
got the Google Cloud voice, which I think is male, whatever, and then just Google Translate. So I can pretty much just randomize the voice as well. So if so it doesn't get boring really. Every time I've got a morning announcement when the first person to turn on the light in the kitchen gets sort of, oh well, it's whatever, Monday, it's raining outside, today is rubbish, so put out, and so rubbish gets picked up, and every 2 weeks the glass and the recycle bin as well. It'll tell us who looks after the kids. So we've got a whole bunch of chicken, and the kids look after them. So they
Mm.
look after the water, after feeding them, and then in return they can sell the eggs and keep the money. So we got that changes every Saturday. And so we've got a wheel with 4 chores, so 4 people in the household,
Mm.
and that's one chore is folding the laundry. The other one is setting the table and wiping the table after dinner. What else do we have? Emptying the dishwasher and rubbish and recycling. So take the recycling out and make sure all the rubbish bins are clean. So that gets rotated every Saturday. So that's the who is responsible for the chicken. And so every Saturday when the first one turns the light on in the kitchen, we know who is going to be responsible for what in the next week.
Sounds like you've got the kids pretty well organized by a home assistant.
Yeah. And in the morning, I think on Mondays and Wednesdays or so, in the morning, it's just to remind you it's Luca's turn to look after the chicken this week. So make sure they've got water and feed.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean that's all good fun, really.
Yeah, that's really cool. Have you tried actually giving voice commands through Google as well back to Home Assistant?
No, I mean that's quite interesting. I've got the Google, which I've got with the Nest speakers. The kids use it for whatever, play music, play a game. I don't. I've got the Amazon Echo in one of my Sonos speakers as well. I've got all my ecosystem. So I've got a MacBook, I've got an iPhone, I've got an iPad, I've got an Apple TV. I'm just not now. I don't know. I think part of it is as well that my wife thinks it's creepy that it's always something listening. To be honest, it doesn't really matter if it's the phone in your pocket or the speaker on the in the cupboard. But it's just and I'm not really keen on voice commands. Maybe it's because English second language, German accent. I get too many false negatives.
Oh, classic. And are you doing much in the way of energy management?
Nothing, no. I have one power plug.
Yeah.
And that is a D-Link Casa 11.5, I think. But otherwise, I am not monitoring anything. I don't have solar. I'm not monitoring any power usage in the house. That is something that I think I would be really interested in if we get solar panels on the roof. Just mainly to understand how much we're producing, and then it would be of interest, of course, how much we're using and how much we're potentially feeding back into the net. Into the grid. At the moment, I just don't have anything. I don't have my power meter. I can't get the power to it, where as in a power outlet or whatever. So I don't really have an easy way of measuring anything in there with regards to the light flashing. What was one of your first videos?
Yeah, the Home Assistant glow. What about
The glow,
what about the Shelly EM, the one with the little clamp that you put around one of the live wires on the supply through the...
Doesn't that need mains power?
Yes, you do need mains power to actually power the Shelly.
Yeah, so it's just I can't easily get mains to where my meter is.
Oh, yeah, that is the only limitation.
Not getting the electrician in, and that's at the moment. It'll be interesting because we have to probably do the entire wiring of the house. We have to relocate the power meter and do a lot of the rest of the house really that we haven't done rewiring it. We've got still that old black horrible wire in there, which but when we cross that bridge, then we'll look at it as well. By that time, I think that'll be a solar installation, and then do the whole electrical wiring in the house anyway at the same time.
Nice. So you've got Zigbee running. You're running a bit of Wi-Fi. So those Shellys and things, are they just in their normal mode, or have you flashed them with ESP or Tasmoda?
No, they're all in normal mode. And as I said, I mean, I don't have any problems with those at all.
No,
What
neither
do
do
we
I.
have?
Mine are perfect.
Yeah. So we've got the RM4 Mini, which is the broad link. That's the infrared for the air conditioning unit.
Yeah.
I'm not using um, Nabukasa. I've just I've punched a hole in my firewall, um, installed myself a digital certificate, and have strong passwords and two-factor authentication. So happy enough. That's good.
Do you do presence
What
detection at
else?
all?
Sorry.
Presence detection?
Um, Somewhat. I'm using the application for myself, the iPhone application,
Oh,
so
yeah.
the iOS application, based on my location. I have tried the same with the wife and the kids, but they all have Android phones,
Oh,
and for the love of it, I cannot get the application to reliably update where they are. I
oh.
think my wife still in Wellington somewhere. Where's the map here? Yeah, see, she apparently is still in Wellington,
She got
although
stuck at work.
right. Yeah, she's next door and her phone as well. So it's a bit tricky.
Mm.
I was thinking about I could go through the UniFi network
Mm.
and pretty much say if this phone is connected to the wireless network, I am at home. And same with the kids when they come home, their phone's connected to the wireless network, and that would then say okay they're home, or they're not home. But yeah, I mean, all I do at the moment, because we don't have an alarm panel or anything, I all I do with my phone, which works quite nicely, is again after sunset and when it's dark outside, and I enter the home zone,
Mm.
the lights in front of the house, so from the street, the footpath up to the front door, they go on.
Yeah.
So when I come home, I don't really rely on the motion detection. The lights are already on,
Oh,
which
nice.
works quite well. The problem again that doesn't work for the kids or for my wife because the phones don't update
Yeah. It's
their
it's a
location.
seems to be a big challenge, the presence detection, eh? There doesn't seem to
Yeah,
be one
yeah.
easy way to do it.
No, and yeah. I mean, I don't want to really go all out and buy Bluetooth devices in every room and sort of see where people are at via Bluetooth dongles or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, generally, yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't yet have an electric door lock, so if people are home, door is unlocked. If nobody's home, hopefully the door is locked.
Yeah.
Can't always be 100%.
Have you tried NFC tags at all?
No, I haven't tried NFC tags. I've done something similar where I created QR codes, and when you scan the QR codes, and that mainly for audiobooks for the kids.
Oh,
So pretty much just a list of QR codes with the audiobooks, and then depending on which QR code they scan, it plays a certain audiobook on their speaker, which
nice.
again was a little fun little exercise, but yeah, kids these days really
So
too many new things every day. So keeping that up to date is a bit of a struggle.
yes, exactly. And what do you see in the future? What have you got planned for the future, Dirk?
I don't know. I would quite like. I mean, I think an electronic lock would be something that I would quite like. Um,
Have you
I'm a
got
little
any in
bit
mind?
sort of well, I think the one that I would have looked at was the August, the one that you have as well.
Mm.
Now I'm a little bit hesitant because of battery life. I mean,
Yes.
running power into the door is just overly complex for me, really. I mean, just installed a new front door, and I'm not keen on trying to get power through there. It should
No.
have been done. Um, that would certainly be something. I mean, energy monitoring with a nice little solar array would be fantastic.
Would you go for batteries
Otherwise,
as well?
yeah, sorry.
Would you go for batteries on the solar too?
Yeah. I think if anything, then just make most of it. We have here our house. We've got all day sun really on the roof, so it would be ideal. Obviously, here in Wellington, there are weeks and weeks without a lot of sun, so we wouldn't be able to go fully off grid, at least not with an array that we could afford, really.
Oh, excellent, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always keen to try new bits and pieces. Really, I mean, the new NS Panel Pro looks good, but again, I would need to create a problem to be able to I need to look for a problem really to to buy more hardware. I mean, I still have a bunch of Shellys around. What I had previously as well. I had a Shelly wired to a little 12-volt fan from a computer fan, and in my server cupboard, pretty much one of the Akara Zigbee temperature sensors, and when it gets too hot in there, sort of the Shelly would turn on the 12-volt fan. That worked quite nicely. I've since sort of rejigged the whole thing, and the fan's not required anymore. So I've got a couple of Shellys spare. I've got, as I said, a whole bunch of ESP homes that I would like. Yeah, I just need to find the right application for it. Just before you pointed me towards the NS panel, I was looking around to find a sort of screen for the ESP32 boards that I had. Pretty much NS panel self-built, really.
Yeah.
With the NS panel coming down in price so significantly to under $100, and it's almost don't need anything really.
Makes a lot of sense at that price, eh? And you've got multiple screens you can flick through on there, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Yeah, as I said, I still, I mean, in the end, the NS panel is a switch that the display you just make do what you want it to do, more or less. I think it is a nice thing to have and to use. It is not quite as easy to get it set up in the way that you want it. I mean, you'd almost have to be on top of YAML coding. You almost have to be a graphic designer to design the GUI for it, really, every single page and whatnot.
Yes.
So I'm taking a lot of. I'm probably gonna go through the whole thing and set up my own GUI and the YAML in the background, and then raise in the end just automations.
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
But that's gonna be a longish project, really.
Yeah, it's, as you say, there's a lot of work involved in getting it all together, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is.
Well, awesome, Dirk. Thank you very much for your time, and it's been great chatting about your home assistant.
Yeah, cool. Anytime.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, cool.